I'm Colonel Doug Macgregor, CEO for Our Country, Our Choice. Recently, we launched the initial phase of Operation Focus, a grassroots effort to get patriotic Americans in every town and county to be the eyes and ears on the ground for their community and the nation at large. First, we want to thank everyone who has participated. Your support is truly inspiring. The articles that you provided, the information you shared is extraordinarily insightful and important. In this segment, we will focus on economics. We really need more people willing to take the time to make a difference. Please share insights about the economy where you live, how it's operating, whether or not it works. Let's work together to gather valuable information. If anyone out there is unsure about what kind of information to share, consider the examples I'm going to discuss now. We've received some really fine articles from across the country. I want to start with one in particular that happens to come from north central Pennsylvania. It's written by a man named Jim Bull. He talks at some length about this small town of Gailton in Pennsylvania, about the state of the stores, the drops in sales. I think it's particularly interesting when he says that our businesses currently are struggling like never before. And let's face it, inflation has a huge impact. People that once bought something that cost $5 aren't really interested in buying something at 10 or 15. And I think that's partially his point. He ends by saying, if we're going to make this country great again, tell your friends, tell your neighbors to vote from your gut. I think that's great advice. By the way, he's also got a cafe called the Brown Bull in Gailton, Pennsylvania. It's on West Main Street. I think if you're in a position to visit, you ought to drop by and have a cup of his coffee. I'm sure it would help his business, but it might also help other people get to Gailton too. And I certainly wish them all the best. So that's the first one. Now we've got a number of really good ones that I think you'll want to go look up. The first one comes from Costa Mesa, California. It's a video showing a hacker overriding voting machines in seconds. This was done with a USB stick, and they managed to change the system's recorded votes within the space of 2 or 3 seconds. After gaining control of the system, the hacker noted that he could do anything you want with the machine and the votes. These vulnerabilities were revealed at the annual DEF CON conference in Las Vegas. During the event, hackers sought to identify vulnerabilities in voting machines that will be used for the 2024 election. Search for voting machine. Share this in all your social media network. Go to Republic. The next one is from Phoenix, Arizona. It's written by Joan Quinn Eastman from Boston Broadside. It's called Eviction Expose, Stop the Steal, Not Only Elections in Maricopa County. It describes how a 72-year-old grandmother named Patricia Netherton now stands to have the majority of her life savings taken from her because of the property that is being sold. She paid off the mortgage so her daughter and grandchildren could stay in the family home. Despite being on record as the title holder of the property, that did not prevent Maricopa County sheriffs from evicting her family as she lay handcuffed on the ground outside of a front door. How and why did this happen? The eviction was court-ordered after Mrs. Netherton's title to the home was nullified, a decision she is obviously appealing. In an effort to protect her family and property, Mrs. Netherton was arrested. While objecting to the forced entry and drilling of the locks on her front door, she tried to access her home. She was reportedly blocked and chest bumped by the sheriffs at the door. When the disabled grandmother took a photo, her phone was seized. She was handcuffed and left on the sidewalk in the scorching Arizona sun as her family was removed from the home. Search for Maricopa County. Share this in all your social media. Very disturbing article. The next one is from Sycamore, South Carolina. Stand, defending liberty against tyranny. In the heart of South Carolina, a spirited movement has taken shape, one that quintessentially sums up the state's long history of devotion to the cause of freedom and democratic ideals. The people of South Carolina, however, have continued to rise in more recent times against perceived threats to their earned liberties, amid growing perceptions of overreach and authoritarianism. The article examines some courageous efforts in South Carolina by individuals and groups who are fighting tyranny and fighting for a democratic, values-based future. Resistance to tyranny is inhaled deeply in the history and tradition of South Carolina. Defending liberty. Share this in all your social media. See it on Republic. Another one here from Dallas, Texas. Dallas woman robbed by Venezuelan illegals in affluent neighborhood. Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua could be behind a shocking home invasion where 4 armed men pistol-whipped and tied up a woman before robbing her house. The 4 men lying in wait confronted the woman as soon as she got into the garage of her Dallas home on 21 September, forcing her to the ground and pistol-whipping her, according to a newsletter that went out to residents of this very ritzy neighborhood where the crime occurred. Venezuelan illegals. I think we've heard enough of them. It's time for somebody to do something about it. The next one is an urgent action that everyone that can participate in really should. It's about stopping Massachusetts Governor Healey from eliminating the Second Amendment from Massachusetts. Good Lord, I can't think of anything more important right now than the preservation of our right to bear arms. The Second Amendment makes all the other amendments possible. So go to this place on Republic. It says to remove Governor Healey, and it says Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has taken radical actions to enforce gun control. Our right to bear arms is already enshrined in the Constitution through the Second Amendment. Today, Healey is expected to wave her magic wand, giving herself emergency powers to fast-track sweeping gun laws she signed in July, instantly making it an emergency law. That's frightening because historically, whenever authoritarian governments want to extend their control, they call it an emergency. This move will preempt the efforts of Second Amendment rights groups to suspend the measure. Toby Leary of Cape Gunworks led the charge, collecting thousands of signatures. No American should be forced to beg the government to exercise a constitutionally protected right. These are the really quality articles that we're getting on Republic right now, and frankly, articles that you may not see anywhere else. And why? Because they highlight the truth, and they express opinions that a lot of people don't want to hear. Here are a few questions for Healey. What is the emergency that warrants this immediate tyrannical action? By what authority are you granting yourself these powers? What part of shall not be infringed don't you understand? Well, God bless the people of Massachusetts, and I hope you're successful in stopping this crazy law that has no business existing anywhere in the United States. Then finally, we have something here that I think would appeal to RFK Jr. I know he holds this to be quite dear, and I agree with him. He's very worried about the purity and quality of the food we consume. This article on Republic is called The Attack on Our Food and Farmers and What We Can Do About It. Executive summary. On 6 and 7 September 2024, a 2-day Free to View symposium ended, which featured 35 guests who discussed the attack on food and farmers and then suggested solutions on how to fight back. It's a great discussion. If you missed the live symposium on 6 and 7 September, you can visit Children's Health Defense website and view a read broadcast. There were a number of very prominent experts and leaders in the community. This article is highly informative, very insightful. It's a good primer before watching the symposium. It covers several items that are relative to the problems of our food and its production by highlighting 4 truths. Chemical fertilizers have led to the abuse of most of our food, and consequently, soils have become depleted of nutrients. Unsurprisingly, foods grown in this soil are now lacking nutrients that we need. The use of pesticides and herbicides have also harmed us, not just the insects they were designed to eliminate. Many of the experts say we need to take supplements now because we no longer receive the nutrients from the food that we eat. We are practically living on over-processed junk food made of sugar, salt, wheat, and seed oils. Well, I know a number of you listening out there are going to say that you heard it before, but let me tell you, this article is first rate, and you can learn a lot in a very short period of time. The bottom line is the quality of the material that is ending up on Republic is superb, and we want it to continue. We talked earlier about the criticality of focusing on the economy, and I don't want to diminish that in any way, but we also talked this evening about the quality of our food, what we eat on a daily basis. That's always important, and that's equally important to us right now as a nation. So, ladies and gentlemen, members of OCOC, all our friends, that's it for the focus points. We appreciate everything that you do. We appreciate your support, and we want your participation. Remember, we're looking at thousands of towns and counties in the country that need people to collect, accumulate, and post critical information and insights like the ones that you've heard. Thanks very much. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States.